of speed and is among the oldest purpose-built racetracks in the world. Like many of those who are up in their years, this place doesn't respond well to those who take it for granted. The high velocities bite quickly, and even seasoned veterans can be caught out when they least expect it. Will our drivers manage to avoid the ire of Monza? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Keeping us up on the GTD class is Samuel Ryman. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sam, the Royal Park stays old school even after all these years. Tell us about the track.
Grazie, welcome to Monza. It's the home of a Tifosi, and we are getting ready for a mega race here today. 1 hour around this 3.6 mile, 11 turn circuit, plenty of overtaking zones, plenty of dangerous zones, and boy, this track, it is so historic. There's so much speed, so many stories to tell, and we've got one great one coming up for you here today. Let's give you an idea of what it's like with our GSRC lap car.
All right, we've got Taylor Burris in the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Monza. Down the pit straight, you'll come up to Rettifilio with a huge amount of speed. Expect the draft to allow drivers a good chance to attack into here. But it'll be tricky to nail the braking, especially if you're trying to take it that couple feet farther. It's not uncommon to see drivers take a cut course penalty here. Stay off those large curves, get the power down, and now you're on your way towards Curva Grande. There's nothing much to this corner in a modern GT car. Just hug the inside to make it the shortest distance possible. However, once again, because of the speeds you'll reach, the driver behind could find the slipstream and then attempt to overtake in Della Roggia. But just like the first chicane, there's a big danger in either cutting the chicane itself or taking way too much curb by getting greedy. Both will be costly. After that, you've got a short blast to the first Lesmo. It's always tempting to turn in too early to this corner, but if you do that, you'll probably just understeer off on the exit. There's not a terribly long straight down to the second Lesmo, so it'll be rare to see passes into here despite being the sharper of the two corners. Besides, it's much more important to get yourself a good launch because it's another long run down to Ascari. This last chicane is unique compared to the other two in the way it has 3 apexes and is taken quite a bit faster. The shallow curbs are fine, but avoid those black and yellow pills which can actually damage the car if you're not careful. Another good corner exit is important, but this time pass attempts into Parabolica might be a bit more rare. There isn't quite as much braking into here as some of the other corners, and it's also smarter to just wait until the front stretch to utilize the draft. This 180-degree bend really opens up on the exit, so you'll get back on the throttle earlier than you expect. And that'll be really important to keep yourself from getting swamped by everyone else who found the power sooner than you. But hopefully you've now finished a lap around Monza. See a lap around Monza with a few of these long straights cut out because it is just foot to the floor for most of the way, and giving us the top speed, the top end on the points battles is Bill giving us the update on where everything sits.
Hey, the series moves from France to Italy. Now, Italy is a country that has 3 active volcanoes. Now, when it comes to the prototype standings, it is Mount Girard that has done the most rumbling. Jasing has erupted for 5 wins and has 3 in a row. Drop rounds and recent speed has John Ulmer up 3 spots, and everyone else slots down a spot to make room for the big cheese in second. Did you know that the wolf is considered Italy's national animal? When looking at the GTLM standings, there are 3 wolf packs, 3 wolf pack nipping at the heels of the point leader. 5 back is Stephen McGarvey, 7 back is Mike Young, and a dozen out is Jason Deep Freeze DeVries. Now, Young has 2 wins, McGarvey and DeVries each has 1. But the leader of the pack is Alex Simona, who after winning the first 4 rounds has been shut out ever since. The runt of the top 5 litter is William Laster. Italy is the 4th most visited country in the world. A driver making a return visit to the GTD AM standings is Dawson Brock, up 5 spots. While only competing in half the races, Brock has won them all, and the magic of drop races keeps Never Say Die in the hunt. In the races Brock did not win, Kevin Santana and Lino Duprat picked up wins. Mike Major and Shane Hunter have yet to book a ticket to victory lane. Italy, of course, is the home of the pizza, and any great pizza needs a great collections of toppings, like a great race team needs a great collection of drivers. Surprisingly, SRN Paprika does not have a class-leading driver in its squad. Lamberti West has GTD leader Kevin Santana. SRN Anchovy has Jason Girard, and TMC Pepperoni and SRN Olive round out the top five. Joe?
Thanks for that, Bill. Always creative with those updates. Now, speaking of Italy, we've thankfully pried the spaghetti and meatballs away from Sam, and I think his voice has returned to normal. So, why don't you tell us about the race details here for round 9?
Alright, let's do this normally. Here we are bringing up the race details, listening to my normal voice as we tell you that this is round number 9 of the season. It is a 1 hour long race, and it's going to be 3 classes we have here today. We have the prototypes with the HPD cars, and then there's also the GTLM cars and the GTD cars, and Bill just gave you a rundown of how those are all performing in the standings. 1 hour race, as we mentioned, with a limited fuel cell for the cars. That means these drivers will have to make a stop, and they do have open setups. So, of course, Joe, that's going to be a battle with everyone today, trying to see how much downforce they can, how little downforce they can get away with a circuit that has very long straights.
Certainly does. And right now we're going through qualifying here in the prototypes. They've had the other 2 classes out there, and we're trying to determine the overall pole sitter. Qualifying is going to be only slightly different today. Now, the past 2 rounds, we have had a 45-minute open qualifying. This time it's back to the normal 15-minute per class. But because of some recent changes in iRacing, they will not allow you to grid up if you are slower than the class behind you. And I'm looking through the order. Thankfully, nobody seems to have fallen victim to that. I do see that Josh Wolf needs to get his first lap time in, but I think he should be okay, because otherwise you will unfortunately be gridded behind that slower class car if you take to the grid. So you have to start from pit lane if you can't get a competitive lap time in.
That's a humiliating rule. They're just picking on the slow drivers, man. That's just
Well, it's just to keep them from having to get separated out there.
Right.
So, and
Yeah, well, Joshua Wolf is out there, but he's been putting a couple of wheels off, Joe, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help you in qualifying. iRacing will disallow those lap times.
yeah, so he does have to get a clean one in, but I think once he gets at least one clean one, he should be okay. So I mean, he's got 5.5 minutes left on the clock. That should be plenty of time with these drivers circulating at just over a minute and a half. This is Scott McGarvey that we're watching, who currently sits in 6th. He crosses the line on his latest, and see if he can go any faster. Ooh, yes, he does. By a couple tenths, say 37.4. Oh, but it's not going to give him a position. He stays down in 6th. Now, Bill talked a little bit about the point situation and how the battle has been up at the top in the prototypes. Of course, John Ulmer and Jason Girard have really been the ones that are fighting over it. And what's interesting to me about that, Bill, is that Billy Smith, who was in 2nd place for quite a while, seems to have fallen off the wagon a little bit lately.
Well, hopefully not literally, but yes, he's doing well though today. He's sitting on the pole. You know, the driver, I talked about the volcanoes in Italy. The volcano that has been dormant has been Cy Ander. Now Ander's back with us today, sitting 2nd, but he has been unimpressive in the races he's shown up at. Look to him to be very strong. Interestingly enough, Girard and Ulmer, they sit 1 and 2 in the points, sit 3 and 4th on the grid right now. This should be good.
Yeah, that'll be a fun battle to watch. Sam, down in the GTDs, I feel like the driver to watch today is probably going to be Santana. Boy, you talk about some bad luck, losing his connection last week, and he hasn't won since round 1. I mean, do you think today's the day for him? He's certainly looking good in qualifying.
After what we saw Dawson Brock do at Le Mans, I'm not counting anyone with a chance of a victory if Dawson Brock shows up. Now, here's the threat for Dawson Brock fans, is he actually just lost the connection a couple of minutes ago. Qualifying ends very shortly, so hopefully if he's got any gremlins on his end, he can get those sorted out.
He is here today, I will point out, and he's starting directly behind Santana in 3rd. on the grid. So if he can do what he did there, again, he had almost no practice last week at Le Mans, showed up, put a lap in, went out and won the race on a no tire change strategy, which is mighty impressive. In the meantime, we have a change for the pole provisionally. John Ulmer now beats out Billy Smith by 1.5 tenths. So he is up at the front. That bumps Cy Andra onto the second row. Jason Girard stays down there in fourth, though.
You're going to lose picture here for just a moment, but don't worry, fans. We'll have it back shortly, definitely before the end of qualifying. And I will tell you that Joshua Wolf, one of the only drivers without a lap time so far, has had the clean lap so far. He's going through Ascari, he's on the run down to the Parabolica, the final turn on this Monza circuit, and it looks like Wolf will get a lap time in the dying moments of this qualifying session.
Yeah, it's got about just under 3 minutes left to go before they wave the checkered flag. Let's see if this was a clean one. Coming up to the timing line, he's had 4 tries previously, and the 5th time's the charm with a 37.9. That's good enough for the mid-pack 8th position for Josh Wolf, who could use a good race. Just this series has unfortunately not treated him terribly well. And it's not that other drivers haven't treated him well, it's just things do not seem to go his way. Bill, down in the GTLMs, now it might not be every 75 years, but maybe it's something like 75 days since we last seen this name. Haley is back to race.
That got spelled the same, but we still like to call Bradley the Comet down there. Yeah, he's up there. What's interesting enough is I called William Laster the runt of the Wolfie litter. Well, he's second fastest right now, ahead of Dennis Seredic and Stephen McGarvey. Interesting enough, Alex Simonik, again, unless he's going to make a late arrival, is not here, and he's running out of those drop races that can help him. So this could open the door for some guys to make a run at this championship.
As we've been watching this, Dean Mole, who took his second podium of the season last round, Cy Andra has now bumped onto the front row. Billy Smith gets demoted into third. So things still shuffling around in the dying stages of this qualifying. The one we need to watch, who has been so dominant lately, is Jason Girard, still sitting in fourth. Unusual for him, since he typically has had great speed. But we talked about this last week, that Ulmer tends to like low downforce wherever he goes, and we wonder if maybe that makes him a little bit better and more comfortable places that require low downforce, and so far that is proving true.
John Ulmer is never comfortable at any racetrack, and it's because, I think, of the low downforce that he runs. The good news for Ulmer is he's got a cushion of Andra and Smith between him and the guy he's trying to catch in the points, and Andra and Smith are not, I don't know, do they use chopped liver in Italy? Maybe they do, I don't know, but if they do, Andra and Smith certainly are fast enough. Girard's going to have a hard time getting around those two.
You know, honestly, I was wondering if Sam had done prior research, since last week we were trying to figure out French for the cheeses off the pizza. Do you know it in Italian yet, Sam?
No.
All right, then. So I know what he's getting ready to go do, as Google probably coming up on his screen.
Gives our YouTube audience something to do.
Yeah, exactly. Scott McGarvey comes across the line. He sits in sixth. His latest lap, an improvement to a 37.4, but he does not go up on the timing sheets, unfortunately. Things are incredibly tight at the top of the field. There is 0.16 of a second separating first to fourth out there. It is pretty close.
Similar down in GTD, Kevin Santana back to Paul Slavonic, separated by just about 0.05 of a second.
Cy Andra is going to be the first to take the checkered flag, as that has come out here in the prototype qualifying. He is currently in second, outside of the front row, trying to see if he can depose John Ulmer. Ulmer looking to get some more wins to get himself back into the championship hunt. Andra isn't really in that, and in fact, he's not. He's going to abandon his lap even.
There is Jason Girard has one more shot at it, coming out of Parabolica right now. Let's see what he's got in his arsenal.
He comes toward the line, and as he crosses it, does that 36.9 improve? It does, by only by 3/1000ths of a second. That's not going to do it. Kundinger also faster on that last lap, a 37 flat, but he stays in fifth as well. That's going to be everybody. Our qualifying is now over here today. So our grid is set. Let's go through our starting order as we've got a large field out here at this very popular track. As we mentioned, it is John Ulmer at the top step with Cy Andra flanking him in second place. Billy Smith, who could use a good result, will be starting P3. Jason Gerard will be fourth, our championship leader, a little farther down than he might be used to. Carter Kundinger will be fifth position, and Scott McGarvey starts in sixth. Then Dean Mole, coming off of his momentum, maybe he can continue with another podium. He'll start seventh place. Leif Peterson will be eighth. Robert Canchin starts in the ninth position. Josh Wolf rounds out our top 10. The next row behind him has Mark Wilson to the inside. Sheldon Rosenbaum starts in 12th. Then it's Dale Green starting 13th, and David Stockrider last of the prototype field in 14th. Bill?
Two big names you won't see are Alex Simonik and Mike Young, who sit first and third on the points respectively. Bradley Haley's on the pole. He's going to be inside of William Laster. Dennis Savretic and Stephen McGarvey fill up row two with Deep Freeze Jason DeVries in the fifth spot. He's going to be flanked by Olivier Tricot. Trevor Vivorowski is going to be in the 21st position as he changes cars. Ryan Huff in the 20s double duck spot overall. Then you have Travis Henderson and Dave Hill, Paul Lindsay, Daniel Peralty, Joey Trungale, and Chris Costa round out your GTLM field. Sam?
Kevin Santana and Paul Slavonic are the front row in GTD, but the story is on second row. Dawson Brock has just reported to us he is having PC issues. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make this race. He was scheduled to start third ahead of Lionel Duprat, and sure enough, Dawson is now telling us he will not be in tonight's race, so he'll have to take a drop week. Tyler Gilmet will be starting from fifth ahead of Mike Major, who was the fastest in practice in GTD but could only qualify sixth in class. Gerard Gilbert will be starting from seventh ahead of Mark Kudrowski. Dre Fields and Matt Owens will be rounding out the top 10 in GTD. Behind them are Tim McLeish, Alan Hessebeck, Marty Jeffries, Sean Rees and Christopher Sherburn. Art Peck didn't turn a lap in qualifying, so he'll have to start at the back of his field. Fortunately for him, he's in GTD.
Yeah, so he will be able to grid up, thankfully, and that is a shame that Brock won't be able to get out here and race today. He could still have gotten into the championship as long as he kept rifling off good finishes. Today's not going to help that situation as we see the grid lining up just on the run down to Ascari under the old oval. And then we'll go racing for 60 minutes here today, one of the shorter rounds, the sprint format in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. Let's go to Bill with our usual predictions. Who do you think in those prototypes and GTLMs will win today?
Boy, when you call a guy the run of the litter, you got to pull for him in the standings or in the race. So let's go ahead and let's hope William Laster gets it down there in GTLMs. Up front, I called for it last time. Cy Andra cannot keep getting beat. So let's look at Andra from second position to get the win. The same for Laster. Sam?
It's hard for me to say, Bill, because my pick would have been Dawson Brock. This is shaking things up on me. Honestly, Kevin Santana, he hasn't been able to get a win since the season opener. You've got to wonder if there's a reason for that. And I can't really think of a great reason to pick him right now, considering Paul Slavonic was so close to him in qualifying. I'm going to have to say my pick would be Slavonic.
And Slavonic is somewhat overdue, you have to admit. And I'm pretty sure Slavonic has not had a win yet this season as well. So maybe that will be the magic that he needs to try it and finally break his duck. They've come through Ascari as the cars have started pacing. We're getting ready to go racing here for round 9 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. Following behind that Porsche pace car, John Ulmer is going to be given control. Last round, he looked like he wouldn't have the win. Then suddenly the lead was gifted to him with a late mistake from his championship rival in the pits. And on track, John Ulmer once again lost grip of that cheese, and he lost the lead and could not gain it back. As they come out of the Parabolica, the Porsche pace car getting ready to peel in. There he goes, waiting patiently until they hit the line that they can accelerate. Now he goes. John Ulmer is away as the green flag waves here at Monza. He gets a great shot ahead of Cy Andra, absolutely leaves him in the dust. It's a battle for third behind them, though. Billy Smith on the inside of Jason Gerard, coming down to Rettifilio. Looks like Girard's going to have the better braking and get ahead of him. All the rest of them accordion together. I don't think we have any dramas so far. It is clean. Let's head to the GTLMs.
Haley really took him slow to the line, but he gets a good start. He is in the lead. Laster tucks in second. Looking on the outside is McGarvey as they head down into the first chicane. So far, they all get through the chicane. Okay, it's slow, but they manage. Sam?
Santana's got a nice jump in GTD ahead of Paul Slavonic, who's going defensive on Lionel Duprat. It doesn't work though. Duprat is going to look down the inside for second place as they head into the first corner. Later onto the brakes, Santana has the turn, but no, Duprat's not able to pull it off, and Slavonic will hold on to second.
Little bit of banging back in the back of the pack, if I can talk. Marty Jeffries involved, Sean Reese, Christopher Sherburne, and Art Peck all came together, but they all are able to continue. They were small little hits, so we'll have to get back to that later. But right now you can see already we've got the prototypes working their way through Ascari, getting ready to complete lap 1. Ulmer pulling a gap of nearly a second over Cy Andra. But it is early days. We still have a lot of racing left to go. And as we've seen, Cy Andra can be very fast when he is on it. He could yet still run him down. Don't forget Jason Girard as well, who's moved up into third. Remember, he qualified in fourth. And these top 3 are leaving the rest of the field well behind.
Someone going the wrong direction in GTD is Lionel Duprat. Not only was he not able to get second, I think he got a slowdown penalty at the second chicane. He's dropped all the way back down to 7th.
Also have Carter Kundinger in the pits for some reason. We're not sure why. We'll get back to that in a second, try to figure out exactly. Whoa, and Duprat in the wall just as we're following him.
Wow. So he wasn't able to get second. He makes a mistake, drops him to the back, and then he bins it. And in a 1 hour race, there's not a whole lot he can do to recover from that. This is a race, a lap that Duprat will want to forget.
In a track where you want a nice slippery car in a straight line, taking that sort of damage is not going to help. Look at him just clanging into the Armco.
And as we watch this replay, I'll tell you on the front straight, Slavonic has made a move for the lead in GTD. So action going on at both ends of a GTD field. And here we go. Santana's lost the lead to Slavonic, but he wants it back. He's right on his gearbox. He backs off a little bit here. Slavonic is safe for now, but Santana, I don't think, is happy being in second.
Certainly doesn't seem like it. I wouldn't expect he's happy being in second. He's either been second or DNF'd a lot of times this season, and he's expressed his frustration both on the forums and post-race interviews, just wanting to try and get there. Oh, and Ulmer and Andra could be swapping positions because look at him close.
Andra's been stalking him. They've opened up a little bit of a gap on Girard. Ulmer able to hang, or Andra able to hang right on the back of Ulmer. Although Andre's doing a little blinking for me. He races out of Australia.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Andra is racing out
of
New England.
Yeah, that's right. What am I talking about?
He's holding on, though. Let's check in on the GTLMs. I know we're jumping around a lot, but each of them has their action and deserves some coverage. Right now, Steen still being led by Haley, but second place is contested. McGarvey and Laster duking it out for that. Laster, though, lifts early.
McGarvey got around Laster. Laster was gridded in second position. He got around him on lap number 1. Haley had opened up quite a lead, but once McGarvey got around, he was able to bring the train right up to him. So now that lead that Haley had is no longer there. And it is a nice train. Goes all the way back to 5th position with DeVries in there.
A switch in positions for the GTD lead. Let's keep the cameras here, though, because, oh, no, we're going back. Here we are. So Santana has taken it from Slavonic. I almost wouldn't be surprised, though, if this is something we're going to see time and time again because of run the car in second is going down the front straight.
Ooh, and Sheldon Rosenbaum down in the prototypes is off track.
All
this
by
was
himself.
Out of the second Lesmo. A little caught up in the GTLMs as we come to the replay here to see exactly what happened. He was already well off the pace.
He was at the back of the prototypes, just trying to keep it going. Don't think he hit anything.
He clanged the wall just a little bit as he was getting it turned around, but it was a slight touch. I think he should be okay. Certainly giving a little bit of a headache to our GTLM leaders.
Yeah, what was interesting is that he came out right in front of those GTML leaders, and now Haley has managed to get around him. But now here comes the prototype going through.
Yeah, I think he shouldn't be too much of an issue now that he's gotten by. He should be able to stretch away with the pace difference between those two classes. Actually, let's jump a little farther down to the GTLMs. Dave Hill is in a nice fight with Travis Henderson. This is for 9th position in the GTLMs. Henderson, though, has got a great run, and this is on the car of Paul Lindsay in front. He brakes early. That checks up the cars behind. Everybody tries to roll up to stay out of each other. Your order in that group will be Lindsay 8th, Henderson 9th, Hill 10th, and then Ryan Huff at the back of that train in 11th.
Let's have one more in there. Daniel Gralti in the mix, too. There's a big name back watching them as well. It's a great battle for what would be, I guess, what,
8th position?
8th in class. There we go.
Yeah, that's Paul Lindsay. He was under threat a little bit from Henderson heading down to De La Roja. Henderson taking a lot of curb, though, coming out of there. He manages to get the car going, but Dave Hill gets right underneath that rear wing. They weave their way out of the second Lesmo. Go ahead, Sam.
Can we look at 16th overall? Let's go to William Laster, 3rd in the GTLMs. He has now fallen off of when he's trying to run behind McGarvey, and now he is under some severe pressure from Dennis Savretic. Savretic clearly faster, looking for a way around. He does not want to let Dennis, does not want the leaders to drive away.
And don't forget, that's Jason DeVries back there as well in 5th place. DeVries really took advantage of the poor results that McGarvey and Simonic got at Le Mans and brought himself back into the championship fight. We now essentially have a 4-way battle for the top points in that class. Looking up ahead, these two gaining on Laster. Savretic poking his nose to the inside. He's going to have a go at it. He outbrakes Laster down into the first chicane. Smooth as you like. That moves Savretic up into 3rd.
You see the gap between him and McGarvey now, just about a second and a half. Keep an eye on that and see if Dennis is able to close in on Steven.
Let's stay on this because this battle is still very good as Laster tries to come back at him. And down to the inside, here comes DeVries. He mugs him into the De La Roja chicane, but can he get it done? They almost come together. And out of the second apex, Laster manages to fend him off, but also in the process loses touch with Savretic.
There's battles all across this track in multiple classes. I've been keeping half an eye on the battle for 5th in GTD form in between Mark Kudrowski, Matt Owens, Jay Fields, and Tim McLeish, all running nose to tail. Drivers trying to gain positions here in the early stages, and here we go, one on screen right now.
Yes, Savretic, is he just slowing? Did he get a cut course or what there? I think so. I think he must have gotten some sort of penalty or something because Dennis is dropping off the back of these three. That was bizarre. This moves Laster back into 3rd, DeVries up to 4th.
Anderson was a mistake.
Ooh. This is in Ascari. Costa was the second to the scene. Henderson was the one that first had a problem.
Boy, this was rough. Boy, it looks like Henderson was off the track. The spark there, Costa just clipped him. I'm not sure if this was really Henderson's fault. Look at Costa go really wide. Stay on this for a minute. Henderson looks safe there, right? And boom.
Oh. And that Ford just getting through, that is Joey Trungale if we want a good onboard view. Actually, that was a Porsche that he's driving. He reds the needle. Seems kind of hard for him, honestly. He got a little bit lucky, but just positioned his car perfectly. And thank you very much. That bumps him up to 12th place, 2 positions in 1. However, he's still well down the order in his class.
All this action, look at the clock in the top left. We're only 10 minutes through this thing.
And we're starting to catch the back of the pack because John Ulmer, not only has he been run down by Andre, who at one point was 8 tenths away, They have come up to Tim McLeish, Jay Friels, and Matt Owens all in a row.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Sam.
this was that five-way battle I was talking about just a couple of moments ago. That was from 5th back to 9th. Fortunately for our HPD leaders, it's broken up a little bit.
Ulmer has been very confident in his trip through the traffic. Andra a little more cautious, taking his time a bit.
Oh! Wow, that was awful tight with Matt Owens, that he nearly got into that GTD car, and then a slide from the car ahead. That was Mark Katrowski nearly losing it right in front of our prototype leader. Riding on board with Cy Andra, who continues to give chase, and all that traffic has now meant that Jason Gerard, points leader, has run them down. It has made it a three-way battle for the lead.
Yes, all this has been causing the prototypes to close up. It is breaking up the GTD class, as you said, Joe. There's starting to be some gaps in that class now.
A pass in the for the GTLM lead as McGarvey was able to get Haley.
I think we might have a replay on that. Let's see if we can pull that one up.
Haley went a little bit wide, put it up. This is really exciting, actually, as it involved also Carter Kundinger in a prototype. This will be fun. We were 3 wide here for a while.
And Kundinger, I should point out as well, he is not a lap ahead of these two. He's actually trying to get his lap back because of his early pit stop, but we're still not sure what happened for it. There you see the overtake, though, as McGarvey now moves up to the top spot. Remember, Haley not in the championship. He is just here for the victory.
So McGarvey has got both of those positions on the track. He was able to get around Laster and Haley.
Now, remember earlier that we mentioned Savretic let both Laster and De Vries by. He is now back ahead of both of them and into third, and we didn't see how that happened. They're all still very close together, all within 1 second as they come around Parabolica and get ready to cross the line one more time.
I think Laster may have punched above his weight class there during qualifying, got that second spot. Now falling back into 5th is probably a little more, probably where he belongs. Hayspec just had a spin. Yeah, that's how he got that pass made. Hayspec had the spin. That's how that pass was made. I think we can take a look at it.
Yep, that happened in Della Rosia. Let's see if we've got the replay. And David Sockrider is the one that you see trying to work his way around that spinning car. That was a little hairy for the HPD. Sockrider looks like he almost loses it all on his own coming into the corner. Watch this. Both of them managed to come out the other side, thankfully. Hayspec losing a lot more time than going fully around.
Lap traffic then definitely playing some hazards already early today. It's changed up 4th place in the prototype class. Billy Smith was able to get by Scott McGarvey for that position last lap.
So that moves Billy Smith back up to P4. Remember, he started this race in 3rd. I'm not sure what happened to Billy Smith since the start of the race. Considering he overtook McGarvey, that means he's been as far down as 5th position and has fallen 7.5 seconds off the leaders in the first 15 minutes of this race. Let's take a look and see exactly how this overtake happened. Looks like this happens down on the way out of Ascari. A little bit of traffic, as you said, Sam helping him out, gets to the inside as they go 3 wide, and finally completes the deal into the Parabolica.
Yeah, things have been crazy around the for the GTD leaders in the recent laps. I mean, Mark Wilson right now is heading a giant pack of cars going through the Parabolica. And this is going to be going on for the rest of the race, even though there's long straights around here. Man, it's just the speed of this place can lead to some hazardous situations.
Speaking of hazardous situations, look at this on screen. Those are two of our leaders and the GTDs, Slavonic and Santana, as they got a pack of HPDs coming. Wilson, followed by the likes of Kanchan. He manages to squeak through in the tightest of places, and then Leif Peterson gets stuck out left to dry.
Yeah, because, and like I say, these two have been having to deal with this for a while, because Kevin Santana had built up a pretty impressive lead, actually, at one point over Slavonic, and then HPD passed him on the entry to Ascari. He lost a lot of speed on the run down to the Parabolica, and Slavonic called him right back up.
Kevin Santana and Paul Slavonic, probably two of our thirstiest drivers out here looking to get a victory. In the case of Santana, still fighting for this championship. He leads it right now. He'd like to continue that. Let's go to the GTLMs because we got a little bit of a battle. This is being led by Gralty in 8th position. That's Dave Hill behind him in the number 13. Paul Lindsay, 3rd in the train in 10th position.
And here comes Ulmer.
By John Ulmer. Ooh, this might work out incredibly well for Ulmer. He's going to get all three, but I doubt that Andra will.
Yeah,
look at that.
Andra really stuck back there. You see that blue HPD pin.
Now he's finally going to be able to get around the outside of the Curva Grande. Looks like Walty and Dave Hill managed to pull away from Lindsay because of that exchange. So I've narrowed it down to a 2-car fight for this 8th position. No change as they come out of the Della Rogia chicane and into the first Lesmo. If you're watching the clock and wondering about pit stops, because we haven't talked about it a whole lot, well, it's not as dire as it has been in the past for all 3 classes here at Monza. Oh, as we got a battle between our top 2 again.
And now we have Haley out in front. He made the pass.
A while ago, it looks like. Yeah, this was down into the Rettifilio. Let's take a look at this. I think we're cursed to not catch a pass for the lead this race for some reason.
Haley ducks to the inside and gets the pass made. It's a pretty ordinary pass, but look at the 2 cars behind. This is the one that's interesting. Those guys have been coming, and I'm talking about Servetic and De Vries, especially De Vries. So don't be surprised if this doesn't turn into a 4-car battle pretty soon, especially if De Vries can get around Servetic, who I think is a little faster.
On the similar...
Real quick, Sam, sorry. McGarvey actually took a look to try and repass Haley this time through, but decided not to take it. Oh, and we're having to change position 4th and 5th, and the prototypes, because it is Billy Smith and Scott McGarvey. Smith manages to defend successfully. Sorry, Sam. Lots going on.
All about traffic as they were going through Rettifilio.
Just looks like he got a good run on him. And as you said, coming up to 2 more battling cars in front of them.
Nowhere to go.
You know, if it weren't for that battle, he might have got that done. So that means Billy Smith still in 4th place. McGarvey still keeping a top 5. Remember, Scott wants to come back and defend his title, though.
Smith is losing ground, though, to the cars up in front. Try as he might, he just can't keep the pace with Gerard and Andra and Olin.
Which is actually a very tight battle right now. Let's go to the leaders because I think Andra's going to take a look. Oh, and there was a car off track there on screen. We'll go back to that in a moment. Onto the front stretch. This is going to give a second bite for Cy Andra. He gets into the slipstream of the 902. Ulmer holds about the middle of the track, does not come down to defend. He gives the inside to Cy Andra. They're coming up on yet more traffic. This is Stephen McGarvey up ahead of them. Andra manages to outbrake him, and he's got it done. Move the 24 into the top spot in the prototypes.
But they're coming up on the back of the leaders of the GTLMs. Here they go around.
This is going to be a good spot for Andra because he's going to get 1 and he's going to get 2, but John Ulmer is plugged up between them.
And Haley is in just as an intense a battle with McGarvey right now, so he can't afford to give up any room.
Yeah, that's a good... I didn't even notice that was the battle for the lead in the GTLM. Whoa, look at Haley taking all of the track and then off into the gravel. It doesn't hurt him too much. We're going to watch from Stephen McGarvey's perspective as he tries to chase down the number 2.
Haley has taken that sandy exit several times. I'm a little bit worried. 24 is the incident capture today.
That's a good point. They're going to get quite a few laps in. They're already on lap 12. Now going by them is Jason Gerard, the third place prototype. He's all by himself, so he really doesn't have too much to worry these two, especially getting them right where he did into the Parabolica. Lets them go, and B, I do believe we are getting into the pit window now, though.
Wouldn't surprise me for most of these guys to try and go deep. I was going to make a note down in GTD that as much as we've been talking about Santana and Slavonic, you know, and managing the gap between those two in the early stages, Gilmete and Major are not far behind them. There's still a few different drivers who could win down in the GTD class.
Major currently sitting in that P4 and trying to do what he can to stay in touch. As we watch this race continue on after a 2-hour race before, and I believe we had a 90-minute race before that. This has certainly been a lot of action non-stop. Oh, and we have the battle once again. Look at this. He's caught him once again. Cy Andra is not willing to let John Ulmer rest. They're going to come up on Art Peck next. And the GTDs, and Art Peck just took too much curb. Almost just ended his race there in that moment, and they caught him at just the right time to weave by.
Yeah, Ulmer and Andra continue to swap positions. Now Ulmer has it back. Andra running him down.
Another thing, we keep talking about pit stops coming up in the near future. There's not a whole lot of strategy that can be played with one stop. The tires aren't burning that much around here in a 1-hour race. That's why you see these drivers racing so hard for position on track.
It's got to run. That's Syandra in the blue machine taking a look, but he thinks better of it. John Ulmer's going to retain the lead this time through. Now, one of the things that I wanted to say is that at least this is a huge relief for Ulmer's. Before, at the previous round at Le Mans, fuel was the big talking point. We were highly critical of his strategy. Here, fuel not an issue at all this time because of the increased fuel cell size. So it is just a straight fight, like you said. He can sprint to the finish. But right now, he's got a mirror full of Cy Andra making him work for it.
It still doesn't mean some drivers will be a bit optimistic in how much fuel they need to get to the end.
It is nice to see the handcuffs taken off the guys, though, and they can race without having to manage their fuel.
It's been giving us a lot of excitement today here in round 9. Just about to the halfway point as we go down to 6th place in the GTLMs. William Laster in it once again. Dave Hill giving chase. And in fact, they've passed, did they not pass Daniel Gralty since we last looked? No, Gralty's still in 8th, excuse me. So he's still where he was.
The big thing is that Hill is coming up on the Laster now. Remember, Laster started in 2nd position. Little by little has surrendered spot after spot.
Go down into Ascari. That car behind them is David Sockrider, looking to try and lap them. He's well behind the rest of his field, so he isn't too much of a headache. Go ahead.
Not sure what just happened to Lionel Duprat. I don't know if this was a mechanical failure or a move out of frustration, but he's pulled into the pits, and I'm not sure he's coming back out.
Maybe this is a scheduled stop.
No, he took a tow to the pits, but it's just not been his race.
Yep, and he just disappeared. So I guess for Lionel, just a little bit too much pride to run around in last place, right, Sam?
I see what you did there, but we're doing Italy puns today, Joe. Lions don't live in Italy.
Okay. So we watch the battle for the lead in the prototypes. John Ulmer still ahead of Cy Andra. As all this has been going on and they've been swapping positions, Gerard started to close back in. It is 1.5 seconds to the third place driver. It's really the next car back that has fallen away. Billy Smith about 4.5 seconds behind. Riding on board now with Jason Gerard. This is a driver whose season started with some miserable results, some embarrassing mistakes, and some bad luck too. He's come back rebounding. Now this is not a dire situation. If he still finishes third, he'll collect decent points. But he can't let Ulmer beat him too many times out on track.
Not the only battle we have going on in the classes. The GTD battle for the lead has reformed again. Slavonica's really ran Santana down.
Now, 0.3 of a second between these two. They come out of the second Lesmo. Not sure if Slavonic is pushing to try and stay with him and get by, or if he's just looking to try and ride the tow until the pit stops.
We keep half an eye on this. Bill, you just tried to send me a message in Italian. I can't decipher.
Oh, I think Bill got a little tongue-tied there for a moment.
Sorry, no, I dropped out there. I wanted to talk about Laster, if that's what you guys were talking about as I dropped out. I'm back now. He's really in a battle. Yeah, he's trying to hang on to this. Hill has been all over him, and Hill's got to run, but he just won't do it, boy. But he has been trying and trying and trying. And now right behind him is Gralti as well. Remember, we were watching Gralti.
Yeah, if these two start tussling, I think that is going to be an open door for Daniel Gralti to try and get 2 for 1. Dave Hill coming out of the first Lesmo drops back a little bit. William Laster recovering and putting some distance between himself and the red and black Ford. Now work their way down under the old oval. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as we go to the battle, it finally drifts apart.
It'll heat up again. There is no hope, though. Haley and McGarvey, I thought maybe Cervenic and DeVries might be able to run those guys down, make it a 4-car battle. That has not been the case. Haley and McGarvey, the cream of the crop here in the GTLMs.
I'm going to take a look at them because they are very close together. Haley being chased by McGarvey into the first chicane, but McGarvey's not really going for it. He's going to stay on the racing line as they break for this slow right-left. Up ahead of them, that is Travis Henderson, who is in the same class, but he has a lap down due to some other problems. Oh, Canchin with a problem, and he's right in front of this. He's trying to get the car going, and I think he's going to be able to pull out of the way in time. But Robert Canchin was stopped on track in De La Rosa.
And he had to back it up right into the racing line to get the car turned around. Watch this. There he is. And then he backs up.
We'll go on and watch it one more time. He's all on his own. Rear of the car just going to completely come around. You're right. He had to wait patiently for a gap. He honestly timed it really well.
So he waits and he's waiting, and now he has to do this scary move back out onto the track. And he gets it going.
Oh, pass for the lead in the prototypes. Andra on Ulmer, and I think he's got it. Round the outside of the first chicane. Just went to it in time.
But look who is right there.
Yeah, Think we might want to stick with this because I don't think it's over. And these guys are about to catch the GTD leaders too. Here we go, looking for second place. Gerard backs out of it. But things are about to get interesting in a couple of turns. They will pass GTD leaders.
Gerard took a lot of curb coming through Della Rosa, but he held onto it, didn't lose time incredibly. Three-way fight now for the top spot in the prototype class. Ulmer, who wants to get right back past Andra instead, has to have eyes on both sides of his head. They come up to the leaders like Sam was mentioning, going by Slavonic. Andra manages to overtake Santana as well. Both of the prototypes in second and third splitting them as they weave through Ascari off the corner. Finally managing to get through, but look at the time lost up to that bright blue car in the lead.
Andra in prototype and Kevin Santana and GTD were the big winners there, the way the traffic have worked out.
We have had a few of our prototypes come in for scheduled stops. Wolf, Kundinger, and Sockrider have all pitted. Actually, no, I take that
now
back.
Kundinger Gerard comes in.
Oh. Wonder if he's thinking he could potentially jump them with them battling like this. Correct myself. Kundinger pitted on the first lap, so me looking at him pitting, he has not taken his scheduled stop yet. Gerard hits his stall, waits patiently. Where is this going to cycle him out, though? Is he going to get a little bit of clear track? Still more cars going by. He's currently in ninth, and I think that's where he's going to manage to come out. There's a lot of clear track. Oh, but now he's got traffic coming up. That's Christopher Sherburne in the GTD just ahead of him. If he could clear this quickly, he's got just a lot of open pavement in front of him.
And he's able to do that. Now, I've got to imagine, Joe, that the pit exit line it doesn't mean a whole lot today because I've seen drivers abusing it.
Yeah, no, you can be pretty lenient with that. So I don't think we should see any penalties for that. Dale Green is coming in. Rosenbaum done with his pit stop. Green has a long stop, though. Oh, and our leaders are in. Andra and Ulmer have responded. We need to watch out for Jason Gerard. Smith also comes in. Scott McGarvey pits. Looks like Dean Mole also going to join. Now, Jason Gerard just came out of Ascari. He's coming up to Parabolica. Both Ulmer and Andra are in their pit stalls. This is still the outlap for Jason Gerard. This could wind up being incredibly tight depending on the pit stops. Both Andra and Ulmer are out. They've hit the blend line. Gerard is coming. He's got the speed, but I think he doesn't quite have enough racetrack. And as they break for the first corner, just barely they come out ahead of him. They are as they were before the pit stops. Andra leads Ulmer, leads Gerard.
Now let's see if Gerard has advantage having just raced a lap at full speed, whereas Andra and Ulmer have been sitting stationary. Maybe their tires are a little cool.
Yeah, no changing of the tires for anybody for these scheduled stops.
This track has an interesting layout because out of pit exit, you get to Rettifilio pretty quick. I've seen this a lot where you really don't get to take advantage of your momentum. If that would have been a longer straight, Gerard would have been able to run him down. Unfortunately, they're all braking for the chicane, but then they finish in the same order they went in.
Last of our prototypes, Carter Kundinger takes now his scheduled stop. That's going to be all of that class, but we're waiting for about half of the GTDs and then just about all of the GTLMs to pit. So we'll go through our order a little while later.
And all the traffic, the GTLMs, which were so competitive, have now all distanced themselves from each other.
About the closest fight in the GTLMs is for 6. That's between Hill and Gralty, which was close earlier. Gralty currently running in 7th. There's Dave Hill on your screen in the red and black Ford. They're going to be overtaken by Robert Kanchan.
Now, there is another driver to keep an eye on that you won't see here. That's Trevor Borowski. He was close to these guys. Borowski took his stop. So he may cycle out somewhere around Hill and Gralty when Gralty and Hill make their stop.
And Dennis Savretic is pitting, one of our podium contenders. So in fact, he is our first front runner, I believe, to come into the pits for the GTLMs.
Came in 3rd between McGarvey and DeVries.
Still waiting for Haley, McGarvey, and DeVries to all take their stops. Savretic now coming out. I think we got a little bit of time with these battles breaking apart. So before we get a lot of pit stops, we do have Lionel DePratt here to talk to us about what happened.
I saw it. This will be
if
interesting.
can-
My guess it's an internet connection. Let's see what he has to say.
Lionel, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
Lionel, we're sad that we are talking to you a little bit early. It looked like things went south very early in the race, but what caused you to actually end the race?
Yeah, so as you say, turn 1, I was very focused on not touching anybody, and I didn't think of it, but I run way too much curb and got a slowdown. And then I ended up not giving it back soon enough, so I got a black flag. After that, I think I lost my focus. I spun and got damaged. So you saw I got in the pits and got some repairs. Went back on track. I think I caught a couple guys that were racing, but I had zero damage. And during that one time, I was catching up on the last one. I think it was Tim McLeish, and then I lost sight of my markers and I almost took them out. I launched my car right to try to not collect them. I managed to go to turn 1 without touching anybody. And at this point, I'm like, look, you're going to end up somebody else's race. Let's get out of there. So that's why I retired.
That's why you took that tow.
Yeah, I actually saw that, Lionel. Like I say, you were launched over the curbs there. Glad that was just a single car incident. We're watching pit stops out there. Paul Slavonic overshot his pit stall. That's why Kevin Santana got out so far ahead. How tricky is the track out there, Lionel, in these cars? I see the track temperature is about 95 degrees. Is that about optimal?
I didn't feel like the track temperature was too bad. It was bad in practice. It got a lot better in qualifying. I felt like the track was good for the little bit of race I've done. No, I think the track's pretty good. It's not dirty. As far as I'm concerned, it was all driver error, and hope I won't repeat too much of that too soon.
And thanks for coming in, at least enlightening us on what's going on as we watch a battle on screen, I believe, with Hill here.
Yeah, that's for Borowski. Remember we talked about Borowski making that early pit stop, so he came out right in the mix. There's Gralty back in 3rd in line, Hill, and then Borowski.
Thanks for joining us, Lionel. Obviously, a lot of action here in this race. Hopefully, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to be watching the end with you guys. Bye-bye.
Side by side between Dave Hill and Daniel Gralty, and Gralty is going to manage to get it finally. That was a long time coming.
Yeah, so while we've been watching these battles in HPD, there's been pit stops going on in GTD with the top 2 leaders, Santana and Slavonic pitting. Gilmette has just pit. He comes out. I wonder if Gilmette can be ahead of Slavonic. No, he's not. He's still behind him. And we got another car and more cars in the pits.
And DeVries makes a pit from the lead of the GTLMs. Now, we've talked about Savretic overshooting his pits. DeVries was behind Savretic before the stop. Let's see if he gets out first. He's rolling.
He's rolling, and Bradley Haley's going to re-inherit that lead. McGarvey also goes by. DeVries is very slow, and Savretic indeed is going to get by a large margin.
So De Vries will have to do it on the track.
I think that is all of our pit stops done except for Christopher Sherburne. He is our last one. Also, I can report that we also had a wreck in the prototypes a long time ago. Mark Wilson spun it in Della Rosa. Don't need to go back for a replay of that. Oh, and we got a pass for the lead and the prototypes and contact between the leaders. Andra and another contact. Second time coming together in the same corner. Oh, and a third time. Fourth time, continuing to hit one another off into the grass a little bit. Cy Andra eventually the one that has to give in. Looking a little bit less Grand Prix, Bill, and a little bit more like Days of Thunder.
Indeed it was. And they were coming up on that battle that we were talking about with Hill and Gralty and those guys. They managed to get through that. Woo!
This is getting aggressive, and John Ulmer almost losing it coming off of the second Lesmo. That means a bad run. Cy Andra sees that. He's got the momentum. A defensive move from Ulmer down into Ascari. Andra's going to have to go the long way around to the first apex. Can he make it stick as they come up on traffic? And once again, for the fifth time this lap, they bang wheels, and this is all brought Gerard in, who loses it coming out of the chicane. If you wanted a race, you got it. This is incredible. In all this, Gerard also going to lose that spot to Smith, who goes by just as we come to the replay. He bounded over the grass and gravel and could not catch the spinning car.
This is a case of the opportunity was there for Gerard. He was waiting for it. It presented himself. I don't know how truly it was an opportunity, but he tried to take advantage of it, and it went south.
Good job to him for keeping it out of the wall at the least, but a critical mistake that cost him a position.
I really think if Gerard feels that his car was faster than those guys, he might have waited. But I think he said, okay, this is my chance. May not get another one of these. I'll take a shot. And really, he didn't lose that much. Like you said, Joe, he only lost a spot. He has a real chance of running down.
And they're battling again for the lead, and it's side by side once again, and they're going to touch again. I cannot believe this. We've never seen this much contact in the prototypes and have the not only still running, but still leading. Cy Andra going to try and come back for yet another taste of this. It is blow for the lead in the prototypes. They're where they were before, down into the Ascari chicane, but this time Andra much stronger, and he's going to get ahead.
Even if this doesn't end in a crash, they've got to be careful about their incident limit going like this.
You're right. So that's going to rack them up incredibly quickly. And amazingly, they're still 10 seconds ahead of Billy Smith. They're not under any threat from behind right now, and they've got 16 minutes left to go to settle this thing out. I am starting to think that this will end in tears.
Let's go to Smith right now as he's side by side with Gerard. Gerard wants those spots back.
Oh, but he's going to get pinned in. Oh, they managed to go 3 wide just as they go by Jay Friels, who stays off to the side. Billy Smith to the outside. Momentum in the favor of Gerard. He now covers him off, goes back to the racing line. Smith gets into the slipstream. Could he get it right back? No, not close enough.
And the way Ulmer and Gerard are fighting, I mean, the way that Ulmer and Andra are fighting, that could be a pass for the lead.
You know, I'm pretty in line with you on that one. We got to go back to that battle for the lead because it came down to a 1/10 of a second between them. Ulmer losing time in Della Rosa. Apologies to the rest of the classes. This has just been phenomenal stuff between these two. John Ulmer fighting for a championship. Cy Andra just looking to get himself a victory in this season. As they come out of the second Lesmo, finally that's a little bit calm coming down to Ascari this time. I tell you what, if either of you sees the battle between Haley and McGarvey start to heat up, break in, because we'll need to go to that too, because it looks like that might just become a little bit more interesting. Going to get a little traffic as they come up to Parabolica. Tim McLeish in front of our 2 prototype leaders.
Yeah, well, it won't be long till the prototypes actually get up to those guys. They're only about a half straightaway up. In fact, you'll be able to see these guys start to run through. Their next up for them is the driver in fourth, De Vries.
Exactly. De Vries all on his own. He's not fighting with Savretic quite yet as he tries to run him down. Ulmer gets a little bit of a shot. Oh, but he gets hit from behind as he pulls right in front of De Vries, and another little shot to the rear. The number 1 car giving a little bit of help to the 902.
We'll keep the cameras focused on this. I can tell you Tyler Gilmet has got Paul Slavonic for second in GTD. Let's get a replay of what happened down in the chicane.
You see the second contact as they work their way through there. The TMC Crimson driver obviously probably not going to be a little happy about how quickly he chopped in front of him. That did lose a little time because Andra now using traffic to his advantage to get away. Oh, but it's going to hold him up. It's going to hold him up big time. Here comes John Ulmer with a run, but he also is going to be boxed in as they go 3 wide with GTD cars to his inside. Now he's finally able to slip down to the inside of the first apex. Can he outbrake him? The answer is yes at the first part. Andra finally gives up the ghost. He gets in behind him, looking for the run off of the final apex of Ascari. He gets it. He gets it very well. He now uses the slipstream to try and get it right back from John Ulmer. The Big Cheese does not defend. He lets Syandra have the inside into the Parabolica, as he may be looking for the over-under. Swinging a little wide, Syandra all the way out to the green paint on the outside. Bill, it is going to be another drag race down to the first corner.
It is indeed. They're coming up on the leaders of the GTLMs pretty soon. Right now, it's going to be the red car that has the preferred position, but Arner's out in front. Let's see if Arner is good under braking. No, look at Ulmer ducking in there.
Oh, he's right there. Another little nudge to the side, but it is Syandra who comes out in the lead. This is the roughest battle we have ever seen here in the Autobahn series.
Now, Stephen McGarvey in second, the GTLMs, he was right up alongside Haley. He has backed out a little bit. I'm almost thinking that he knows there is a storm a-coming, and he wants to make it easy for these guys to get through. Here they come.
These 2 prototypes are going to look more like they raced at Bristol than Monza by the time they hit the podium, if they get to the podium today. 12 more minutes of racing to go. Yet more traffic. Stephen McGarvey in front, trying to battle for the lead in the GTLMs. Another little checkup through the second Lesmo. This time not as bad as last time, as they continue to slalom through the GTLM class. Syandra not going to be under attack as they now break for the Ascari chicane.
Now, just as important is the battle behind them between Haley and McGarvey. But I'll tell you, McGarvey and Haley are behaving much better than those 2 brats of Ulmer and Andra.
Oh, I wonder who's going to be put into timeout after this is all said and done. They come around for another lap to be notched onto the time and scoring boards. This time, John Ulmer not going to be side by side with Syandra. He falls back slightly. Is he regrouping, or is the car starting to lose pace with all this hard battling?
Don't forget, Andra got a little shot from De Vries as well in that interclass contact.
I'm amazed they're keeping the pace that they are. They're still 7 seconds ahead of Gerard. Oh, Ryan Huff with some problems. This was in the GTLMs.
Right in front of Tricot. Tricot does a good job of getting around him.
Looks like the last curb. You're going to see it here out of Ascari. Just absolutely goes straight over the middle of it. Oop. Thankfully keeps it out of the wall. Certainly won't be good for the underside of the car, though. Go ahead.
Going back to your previous comment, Joe, I wonder if that's why the top 2 have calmed down a little bit. You mentioned Gerard only being 7 seconds behind them, well, 8 seconds behind them. That could go away quickly if they battle too hard.
Here we see that at 0-2, Jason Gerard and our points leader trying to run them down. He sits on the final spot on the podium, and we got to go away from him because the battle is on yet again. It was traffic. Paul Slavonic in the way of these 2. That gives the inside to the red car of John Ulmer. But up ahead of them, that's Gerard Gilbert. More lap traffic. He's going to be on the racing line just ahead of John Ulmer. He's going to try and swing wide, holds him up once again, 3 wide out of the corner. Inside goes to Cy Andra this time. They've got more lap traffic. Are they going to try and use it as a pick? That's Guillemette. No, it looks like they are going to behave. Andra's going to give space to the inside. He tries to fend him off, getting a little bit of slipstream. Ulmer managed to get a nose ahead, but under braking, it goes back in favor of Andra.
Tip of the hat to Andra there. He knew exactly what was going on. He could have pinned Ulmer if he wanted to. He left Ulmer room between him and the lap car.
Ulmer's going to get another chance. They're coming down to De La Roja. Ooh, takes his half out of the middle, but he's still going to try down the inside. Ulmer deep onto the brakes. He manages to find the first apex, but he was way to the inside. I hope he doesn't get a cut course with that, but it looks like it is a solid pass. Put the 902 back up to P1. It's a good thing we don't have that old school baseball style scoreboard, because those guys would be working overtime to swap those panels out.
Ulmer flashing his headlights at Kevin Santana. Santana gets the message, pulls along to the side. He's got a big lead in GTD over Tyler Guillemette.
Yeah, I haven't checked in on that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Santana, who was in a close fight for quite a while with Slavonic. What happened to Slavonic, actually?
Yeah, what happened to Slavonic is, well, first off, he overshot his pit stall during the pit stop, and that cost him time. It put him back into the clutches of Tyler Guillemette for the battle for second. Coming up to the chicane one lap, Guillemette was putting so much pressure on Slavonic. Slavonic cracked a little bit, overshot the chicane, shortcut it, had to serve a slowdown, and that has allowed Tyler Guillemette to build up a comfortable gap in second place in GTD.
Back to the prototype lead once again. It is Cy Andra with the momentum on the front stretch, using the slipstream, but he's got to go the long way around to the first apex. He goes way hot into the corner, and Ulmer sees that. He tries to take advantage. He gets the power down much better. What a defense from the red machine. The 902 back in front, but just as they come through Curva Grande, Andra's going to have the slipstream. He has the inside, but there's Travis Henderson. He's going to be a bit of a roadblock for whoever's on the outside. He sees him coming. He goes completely off track. A little bit of contact between Ulmer and Andra for who knows how many times this is. He does lose the position. Andra back up to the front.
I've been there, Travis. You don't want any part of that. Go, Sam.
It better not be 12 times, because 2x times 12 times is 24, and that gets you out of a race. Oh, and off there.
Yep.
That would be 4x, though, that contact.
I thought it depended on how hard it was. But, by the way, let's make note that, and sorry, Billy Smith and Mole going on, but I'll also mention that Jason Gerard is only 6 seconds behind that battle for the lead.
Smith is going the wrong direction, by the way. Remember that Gerard got around him. Swiftler in third. Gerard got around him. Now McGarvey has got around him. And now here comes Dean Mole.
I wonder if he got some damage somewhere along the way and his pace might be hurting. It's not even just 6 seconds, Sam. It's 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds that Jason Gerard is behind Andra and Ulmer. Granted, they have 6.5 minutes left to go. They're going to have to do a lot more battling for him to catch them. But it is not out of the realm of possibility as we ride on board with Jason. And Mole did get Smith.
I wonder when Andra and Ulmer start playing the game of, okay, do I want to be leading on the final lap?
It doesn't look like it's a sure thing, though, managing to get that pass done as we take a look at Gralty and Hill fighting for 7th position. This is going to weave by Art Peck, another of our lapped GTD cars, who kindly stays off to the right.
Just to give a little more detail to the story, remember Sevrednik was in this mix as well. He is pulled away.
And yeah, Sevrednik is a long ways away. He's actually up to 3rd.
Yeah, I said Sevrednik. I meant Bobrovsky.
Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah, Sevrednik is comfortable.
Sevrednik's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. Too many syllables.
Down the front stretch, Hill's going to have the slipstream. Gralty looks a little bit too far ahead. This is a lot more calm than the action we've been following before. GT cars clearly not giving nearly as big of a hole down the front stretch as those high downforce HPDs. Still getting a lot of pressure, though, from the red and black Ford of Dave Hill. Daniel Gralti desperately. Oh, and there's a spin in front of him. That's Vavrovsky. And Gralti has to go off track to avoid him. That's going to give him a slowdown penalty. Hill is going to wait behind. He doesn't take it. Only change for position is Vavrovsky going down 2. Gralti now to 6, and Hill to 7th.
I just mentioned that Trevor was able to pull away from the Gralti-Hill battle. He had a comfortable lead. As soon as I said it, he had a spin. He gives it back.
That was all on his own. Under braking. Look at it snap.
Hey, Joe, I've got a game here. It's called I Don't Know How Many Laps Are Left in This Race. Because Sayandra will pretty much be crossing the line in 3 laps' time, right at the 1 hour mark. I don't know if we have 3 laps to go or 4.
And I did notice that Ulmer is backing off. I wonder if Ulmer is thinking fuel. Thinking he has to go 1 extra lap.
Fuel or incidents.
Yeah, I could. That was my initial thought, but knowing that it could go an extra lap. Ooh, this is going to get fascinating. They go by 2 more lapped cars. That was Reese and Trungale.
Yeah, the lap times are about 1 minute 38. So you times that by 2, that's about, what, 3 minutes 14 or something along there. And that's about what they're about to cross the line at, with maybe 2 laps to go.
16, I believe. Yeah, it is going to be very, very tight because they're just under that 3 minute 16.
And if you're worried about the GTLMs, if you look at that scrolling tower, you can see that Haley's opened about a second and a half on McGarvey, so nothing going on there. Go, Joe.
Yeah, this is our closest battle for the lead. Honestly, just about our closest battle overall. Only thing that is closer is for 6 between Gralti and Hill that we were watching before. Now with Trevor Vavrovsky trailing them.
Hey,
And Paul Lindsay.
Yeah, give a shout out, but we don't have to go to it. But 8th place is up for contestant in the prototypes as well, between Leif Peterson and Robert Kanchan.
With all the action that's been happening, we haven't been able to cut to the mid-pack because they've been very close for quite a bit of this race. That battle that I mentioned, the GTLMs in the mid-pack, getting very hot. Hot enough that Dave Hill's got to run and is looking to the outside as Gralti goes defensive down into Parabolica. The 2 drivers behind them waiting and watching to see if they can pounce. They're going to go side by side through that 180-degree bend. And it is going to be Gralti who manages to successfully defend, at least for the moment, another bit of slipstream for Dave Hill. Once again, going to the outside as Daniel Gralti fends him off. 2 cars poking a big hole in the air for Trevor Vavrovsky, who would like it back and is thinking 3 wide, but thinks better of it. Still 2 wide for this 6th position. Gralti to the inside of the first apex, and there goes Lindsay trying to get into the mix. No change for position for any of the 4 drivers after all that.
If Ulmer was concerned about fuel, he's not anymore. He is right on the back of Sayandra. They cross the line with 1 minute 34 seconds to go. I'm pretty sure this is the final lap, and it is Andra leading Ulmer as they head into the braking zone.
That's Dale Green. He is a lap down. Oh, and another little bit of contact between our 2 leaders as he gets into the back of Sayandra. Are they going to be able to get through Dale Green cleanly? Is he able to pull aside and let them through without interrupting the battle? He's not fighting with anybody right now, but he's not slowing down as they come through the quicker parts. They now weave through De La Rocha. He gets backed up right in front, pulls off to the side. Sayandra and Ulmer are now clear. There is no one in front of them for quite a while. They might catch a few more GT cars just before they get to the end as they come out of the second Lesmo. Sayandra in the lead, but it is 0.3 of a second. That'll be enough for a tiny bit of slipstream for Ulmer. I'm not sure that he's got enough. He is not closing in. This has been an incredible fight for nearly half the race between these 2, swapping back and forth almost every lap. This is going to be the important run, and he nails it. John Ulmer gets a good run. He's even closer now, 0.2 of a second, as he tries to get up to the back of Sayandra. Pulling off to the side, the lapped car of Owens lets them through. He looks to the inside. He tries to send it in. He's given space at the apex. Are we going to get the white flag? Or are we going to get the check checkered flag as they come around. The clock ticks down, checkered flag is out, and Cy Andra is just barely going to take this one home.
Great race by those two. Less up for contestation in GTLM and GTD. They're actually the winners of GTLM and GTD will cross the line only seconds apart. Bradley Haley ahead of Kevin Santana as they're both heading down towards the Scari.
And don't count out Stephen McGarvey, who is still looking for the victory. In fact, he got very close through there, and he's going to have a run. Oh, and no, excuse me. That is Kevin Santana in front of him. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Bradley Haley's not feeling any pressure. He hits the parabolica, and as long as he's got enough fuel to squirm it down the straight here, he'll take a win in GTLM.
Got overexcited there. But Bradley Haley is going to take the victory as just behind him, Kevin Santana. It's been a long time. He finally wins for the first time since Daytona. Nice battle between Hill and Gralti has been going on. They've actually, did they lose touch or did they have a third car with them?
It was for Borowski. He had an incident.
Oh, well, we'll have to come back to that in a little bit. This is again for a top 5 in this class. Dave Hill and that black and red Ford that you see trying to lead home Gralti, who is ahead of him for many laps at a time. And as they come to the line, it is going to be Hill who manages to take home that top 5.
Remember, Borowski and Lindsay were chasing these guys? Well, they got together and both of them ended up in the wall on the last lap.
That should be pretty much everybody. So we got time for a replay. Talk us through this, Bill.
They're side by side. If we're looking at Lindsay and Borowski here, if we're going to see it, it's I believe down the main straight. Not sure if this is it. This might be. Okay, here we go.
No, this is down into a Scari. Well, there's a pass.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This might have been after. This might have been Borowski limping the car home because I don't see Lindsay in the ballpark here.
We're looking for the front stretch, correct?
You know, we'll find it. Here it is.
There it is.
We found it.
Ooh.
That puts a nice closing chapter on that battle that we have been watching the whole race between those 4 guys.
Not sure that they would call it a nice closing chapter. Just got squeezed over and that little bit of contact. Unfortunately, Lindsay stuck to the wall after that, could not drive it home. So that's going to end the race coverage, at least for now. But that 0.2 of a second finish between our leaders is something worth talking about. So we will post-race with the driver interviews as well as giving you the unofficial results. But on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Monza. Round 9 just took place for the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. And this has got to be one of the most frantic races, one of the most hotly contested victories we've seen in a while. And yet, in spite of all the action, in spite of lots of contact, we had very few cars DNF today, as attested by the cleanliness of the finishing order. Let's start with the prototype. Cy Andra was your victor by 0.2 of a second, just about 0.3, over John Ulmer. Another case of John Ulmer being involved in a close finish. Those two made contact so many times that we lost count. We thought for sure that they would get DNF'd from the incident limit. Jason Girard, despite all that, he did run them down to 3.7 seconds at the end, but he had to settle for third, and that'll eat into his championship points lead. Scott McGarvey managed a 4th place with Dean Mole, another well-earned top 5 for his quiet race. Billy Smith, something happened to that car. He qualified 3rd. He fell downward and finished in 6th. Josh Wolf, a little bit anonymous today, but gets himself a top 7, and Leif Peterson gets 8th. Robert Kanchan will be finishing P9 with Mark Wilson in 10th. Then you've got David Sockrider in 11th. Sheldon Rosenbaum with a few problems throughout the day. He gets 12th. Carter Kundinger, early issues with an unscheduled stop. 2 pit stops for him. He finishes 13th. And Dale Green, the only car a lap down in the prototypes, finishes 14th. Bill?
Every car in this class finished ahead of the slower class behind them. Bradley Haley gets the win. He swapped positions early on with Stephen McGarvey, but in the end, Haley was faster. McGarvey will have to settle for second. Another good battle between Dennis Savretic and Jason DeVries ends up with Savretic getting the best of that one. A great qualifying win from William Laster put him on the outside of row 1. He'll have to settle for 5th, but he finds his level back in the top 5. Dave Hill was able to outduel Daniel Graltu. We saw much of that. They come home 6th and 7th. Olivier Tucat is ahead of Trevor Bobrovsky and Ryan Huff. Paul Lindsay, Joey Tegrail, and Chris Costa with Travis Henderson, the last car in class. Sammy?
Yeah, to echo what Joe and Bill were saying, not one single car out of class in the entire order. Let's read the GTDs here. Kevin Santana returns to the top step of a podium, and what a podium to do it on. He likes winning at the tracks for good podiums, I suppose. Tyler Gilmette finishes in 2nd place ahead of Paul Slavonic, rounding out that podium. Mike Major will come home in 4th place ahead of Tim McLeish, 5th in class. The next 5 are Matt Owens, Jay Friels, Alan Hesselbeck, Christopher Sherburn, and Sean Rees. So some of these drivers could have had good races out there, great battles, and we don't know because there were just great battles throughout the entire field. So sorry for not getting you guys on camera. Gerard Gilbert, Mark Kudrowski, Art Peck rounding out these finishers. And then we did have 3 cars that did not finish today's race, but they were all GTDs, so they finished with their class 1. Now Dupratt, Marty Jeffries, and Dawson Brock.
Sad that Dawson was even a did not start. But we've got our winner overall ready to talk to us. It is Cy Andra joining us in the booth. Cy, I made the comment as we were watching your fight for victory that it looked a little bit less like the movie Grand Prix, a little bit more like Days of Thunder. That was the most car contact we've ever seen in the prototypes without a car wrecking.
You and me both. I was pretty surprised a couple of times when we were door banging that we didn't pick up more damage. Carbon fiber is strong, but it's not that strong. I guess HPD builds them right, I suppose.
Certainly did. Now, how many incidents did you have come the end of the race? Because we were worried that you two would both disappear by the end of things.
Surprisingly, many of those contacts were 0Xs. We didn't actually. I think I got maybe 1. That was a
nine was your total, Cy. You got 9 incident points.
Yeah, and I think most of those are off tracks, trying to keep the damn thing in a straight line. But I don't think maybe 1 car contact is what I recall, and that was probably the biggest hit of all. I think it was door to door, but everything else was 0X, surprisingly.
Well, you certainly gave us a great show out there. Talk about the race itself, though, because between you and Ulmer, it seemed like it was up to you two to settle out the win. You pulled away from Girard and as well as Smith very early. What do you attribute that extra pace to?
Honestly, I think it's just a little bit more prep for the weather. I think it was a lot harder at the start than anybody thought it was going to be. I think John and I were the only ones who kind of set the cars up for that, especially because most of the practice sessions were cooler. And this car doesn't like a hot track, especially, and you need to run a certain kind of setup to drive around it. So I think that's why Gerard lost a bit of time at the start. But as the sun kind of went down a little bit, track cooled off. You could see he came right back up to her bumpers again. That was probably helped by us battling, but details.
Again, congratulations. You can be proud of that win. It was hard earned. And thanks again for the fantastic show.
Not a problem. After the disconnect at Le Mans, it feels good to come back to a win. So let's keep this momentum going.
Right. Not in the championship hunt, but clearly happy to take victories. That was Syandra, our winner here today. Up next, Bradley Haley back up to the top spot with Bill talking to him.
Nice to see Syandra has lost that annoying Australian accent. Bradley Haley in a good battle with Stephen McGarvey early on. Bradley, congratulations. My gosh, you must have swapped positions with McGarvey 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that was a great race. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to come back to. Stephen, I kept running out of luck in traffic, but thankfully it kind of paid dividends.
So what was your thinking with when you come in for fuel? How close do you cut it, knowing that you're so close to McGarvey?
Yeah, originally I had I think 45 liters scheduled, and then I came in and it switched it to 43, and I still had an extra lap. So that had me worried as we got closer, and then traffic got in the way. But yeah, I was worried he was saving fuel the whole time and he was going to jump me in the pits, because that's been my MO in years past.
Right, exactly. That's what I thought. You did really well this time, and it didn't cost you, and you end up getting the win. You have to worry a little bit when you take that fuel, because it really depends how far you're going, depends on the pace of the prototype.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I had a little extra in there, and then I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll take 2 liters less, and it worked out great finally.
Great to see you racing with us. Great to see you get the win. I know you're on the championship pup, and it's nice to see you get the victory. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, guys. Glad to be back.
The Comet picks up the win, Joe.
Yeah, for once, I think you got it right. But we also have our winner in the GTD class. Sam is going to be talking to Kevin Santana, getting his second victory.
Yeah, Kevin, congrats on the win. Looked like most of your battles were in the first half of a race, and then after the pit stop, things kind of settled down for you a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Paul. I think he said something about he hit a curb hard, couldn't turn left anymore.
I saw him overshoot his pit stall. He also, I think, got a slowdown penalty when Tyler Gilmette forced him into a mistake. But how great does it feel to return to the top step of a podium after, so many races without a win?
That'd have been better last race after leading so much, but it is.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate to see what happened to you at Le Mans. But we still have a few rounds left in the season. What are your goals going forward?
I'll just get whatever I can get at this point. Just have fun.
All right, well, we're sure you had fun out there today. Commiserations on last week's at Le Mans. That was very unfortunate, but hey, you made up for it today. A great show out there, great battle early on, and we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you.
Kevin Santana, our victor down in the GTD class here today. And that's going to close up our interviews. It's what was probably one of the most entertaining races we've called in a while here on GSRC. A big thank you goes to the Autobahn series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. I certainly love getting to call these races each and every week. And also a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that are listed on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today. Bill, Sam, a special thank you to Sean for all the franticness that he had to deal with behind the scenes. And of course, Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. The next race, we are going to another classic circuit, Suzuka. That'll be Monday, August 12th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, see you on the track.